Welcome back to a brand new video, and today we're predicting next season's Premier League table. After Arsenal's and Liverpool results, a lot of people are thinking the league is done, so why don't we listen to them and predict next season. So we've got the table here, we've got champions all the way down to relegation, got every single team. Obviously this is the current teams, we don't know who's up and who's down, so we're going to do it as if everyone stayed up, okay? So if it was the exact same league next season, excluding any promotions, this is what I think will happen. So Bournemouth, first things first. I like the manager. I like the team a lot. But I don't think they're going to be able to progress that much to get to the 8th and 10th. There's so many good teams nowadays. I'm going to go with a comfy 11th to 13th. I think that's fair for Bournemouth. Looks like they'll do that this year. And I do like them a lot. So I wouldn't be surprised if they push on. But it is a tough ask. So I think 11th to 13th is fair enough for them. Now Arsenal seems like quite an easy one for me. I don't think they're going to win the league. But I don't think they're going to do that bad. They don't come from top 4. So for me, it's an easy Champions League spot for me. Arsenal doesn't look like they'll win the league this year, but you honestly never know. City lost as well as Arsenal in the Champions League, so they may take that form into the league as well, but we'll have to wait and see. But I think a Champions League spot, probably 3rd or so for Arsenal, I reckon. And now Villa. Villa's an interesting one, because they've had a very good season. I think they might slightly drop off. I think they might have a slight drop off and get into the Conference League again. I think that's fair enough though. I think they're a team that's overperformed massively this year and looks like they could be getting Champions League. But I think so many teams will perform better next year. Like you have Chelsea, Man United. I think they'll both be better next year. So there's a bit more competition for those top 6 spots. I think coming about 7th is absolutely fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with a 7th place finish. That'll be very impressive from Villa because it shows a bit of consistency. They're always in the top half then. So I think that works out very well for them. Brentford though, on the other hand, I think they may struggle. I don't know if they'd go down, because obviously we've got teams like Forest, Sheffield United that are probably guaranteed goes down if they stayed up next season kind of thing. But I am going to put Brentford as 14th to 17th, 14th to 16th. I don't think they'll quite come 17th, but I think 14th to 16th, probably on the lower end of that as well, 15th, 16th. And I think that's where we could be looking. I will order it as well, so 14th, 15th, 16th will be in that order. I'll explain when we have 2 in the same column as each other. And Brighton, I think it's quite an easy one. I think we could be seeing an 8th to 10th for them. Could be seeing a nice 8th to 10th. They're a solid team, play good football. They shore up a bit more at the back and don't get thrashed as often. I think it's going to be a nice, comfy top half table finish, and they will absolutely take that. They're an absolute fire when they're in good form. But they do sometimes go for a few rough patches. But I think they'll iron them out very slowly, but they'll get there. And Burnley is our first team in relegation. I don't think I need to say much more than that. I think instantly, if they stay up, which they are very unlikely to do, then they're going to be going straight back down. Obviously, I don't want to predict who's coming up and who's going down. So for now, I was going to do the same 20 teams, but if they all played next year. Chelsea is the first interesting one. Because realistically, because we've got Villa in the Conference League spot, they either have to be top 6 or 8th down. So that's where it becomes a bit difficult. And it looks like they could be finishing in that range, to be honest, at the minute. Anyway, like 8th to 6th. It looks like they could finish there. So I might put Chelsea to come 6th. So I'm going to put them in the Europa League spot, but I'll have a team come 5th in front of them. That's what I'm thinking of doing. Now, Palace, I think it's quite an easy one for me personally. I think I like the look of the new manager. I think they've been playing some good football. A few players are starting to perform under him as well. I think 11th to 13th, just behind Bournemouth, probably 12th. Probably finishing 12th. I think they'll take that as well. I think that's a good season for them. It's kind of a regular season for Palace, a mid-table. But for once, they do look like they have a bit of promise, a bit of something going forward. But it all depends on who they lose in the window as well. I will be doing another one of these over the summer and at the start of the season though. But this is a very early prediction. So, Palace in at probably 12th or 13th. And I've got Everton. And I think for Everton, I'm going to place them just in front of Brentford here. So they're either going to be 14th or 15th. I'll decide when I look at a few more teams. But I think that's fair enough for Everton. They've struggled a bit this season, but they have had a lot of injuries and obviously the point deductions. So without the point deductions, they would be close to mid-table. So I think them and Palace could be kind of interchangeable maybe. Everton could easily go into the 11th to 13th. I'm not going to put them there, but I think that wouldn't be outrageous to put them a bit higher or even a bit lower. Now, Liverpool. This is an interesting one because obviously they're going to lose Klopp. They may lose a few players, maybe Salah, maybe Robertson, maybe even someone like Van Dijk. So it's going to be a bit of a transition phase. They've done amazingly this season. In the last video, obviously, I graded them as an S tier, the best tier of the best. I think they've massively overperformed their expectations. But I think they may struggle. I'm going to put them above Chelsea, but I see them getting a fifth spot. Sorry, I see Liverpool finishing in that 5th spot, getting Europa League. But I don't think that would be the end of the world for them. Obviously, they've gone from a title challenge to 5th, so that's not amazing. But when you look at the context a bit more, losing a manager, a bit of a transition period. We've seen what's happened with other teams like United and Chelsea. They really struggle. So I think a 5th keeps you back in with the good teams. A few seasons, you could be climbing back up to another Champions League and then another title. I think a 5th is fair for them, and I think they would take that. Now, Luton is where I'm going to have the 17th spot. I backed them to stay up this year, so I'm just going to put the bottom 4 is basically what I think it will be this year, because it's a bit unfair saying Sheffield United will become 17th next year if they're not going to be in the league, whereas I feel like Luton might be. So, Luton, I think, could be 17th. I'm hoping they stay up this year. I like watching them play football. They're really entertaining. So, I'm going to back them to stay up. But this is where we get a bit... This is where we probably see someone in the top 2 categories, as you're expecting. But what am I going to put them in? I'm going to put them to win the league? Or am I going to put them into the Champions League? That's the real debate here. But I don't think there is a debate. I think I've got to put City to win the league again. I think they've had a bit of an off year, if anything, in the Premier League itself. Obviously, just got knocked out of the Champions League. That's a bit harsh. It was against Real Madrid, penalties, all of that. That's fair enough. But they've not been to their previous standards in the Premier League this year. So I'd imagine they're going to bounce back. They'll make a few clever signings. They'll change something tactically, and they'll be unstoppable, is what I'm predicting. I don't think they'll have quite as much competition for the title as they do this year. But I think they're still going to be good. And Champions League spot is being filled up here, because with Manchester United, I'm predicting them to come 4th place. So at the minute, I'm not sure whether I've got Arsenal as 2nd or 3rd, but I've definitely got United as 4th. That's a guarantee. I think the traditional top 6 are going to be the top 6 again. That's a bit of a spoiler for what's still to come up, but I think that's fair enough. I think Europa League spots, Liverpool, Chelsea, Liverpool the transition, United just maybe coming into a 4th spot. I think Liverpool and United will be a close one. But if United have a few less injuries next season, I think they might sneak into that top 4. They could have probably done it this year if they didn't bottle so many games. Newcastle, easy for me, 8th to 9th. Going to put them just after Brighton. Actually, we'll put them to finish higher than Brighton. We have Newcastle 8th, Brighton 9th. Next one is easy as well. Forest is relegation. We're not going to order the relegation. It doesn't really matter. But back to Newcastle. I think when they have players back, they've struggled with injuries a lot this season, just like Man United. But if they have a full squad back, maybe a couple signings over the summer as well, I don't think they're going to get any worse. They may even have a new manager come the new season. We don't know yet. But I think just in the top half, I think is a fair enough guess for where Newcastle are going to be next season. Sheffield United, they shove them straight down there. So those are the 3 I've got to go down. That's for this season. And somehow if they all stayed up, theoretically, next season as well. But now is a big one. It's Tottenham. And obviously you can see where I'm going to be putting them, because it's got to be a Champions League spot. But the question is, am I putting them into 2nd or 3rd? Because I think they'll finish above United. I like Tottenham at the minute. They're looking really exciting. I'm going to put them into 3rd. I can't put Tottenham above Arsenal quite yet. They haven't quite proved it consistently enough. And that leaves us with 2 teams left. West Ham and Wolves. I think this is quite straightforward for me personally. We're going to have Wolves come in, I think, 12th. And we're going to have West Ham come in 13th and actually move Palace down to 14th. I think this is what we could be seeing. I think West Ham might lose a few players. But as it stands, I feel like this is fair enough. We've got City winning the league. The 3 bottoms are obvious. Okay, now we've done that, I've just noticed Fulham have been missed off of this for some reason. But it's all good because Fulham are going to slot into the 10th spot right here. I like Fulham at the minute. I don't think they're going to lose Polina yet. I think they might bring in a few exciting players. I think 10th place is fair enough. But what I think is going to happen for sure is the 6 teams between 8th and 13th, I think will be those 6 teams. I just don't know where they're all going to finish. West Ham could easily come 8th. But they could also come 13th. They could struggle slightly. There's going to be a few points in it, I think. All these teams, I think, are so close in ability at the minute. It's really hard to predict who's going to top who. All of that. I think the top 4, the top 6 is way easier. It's this middle pack of teams. But they're all similar in ability, all similar in level. Just some have more money than others, but some have better young talent coming through. It's really hard to distinguish who's going to finish above who. But I'm going to lock in this. Obviously, Fulham would go just here. behind Brighton. But that's what I'm going to lock in. I think West Ham is the only questionable one. I think they should be a bit higher. But I've really struggled with the 8th to 13th, like I said. But do let me know what you think. What would you change? And if you did like this video, you might like this one right here, where I graded every team's season on how well they performed in comparison to expectation. Give it a watch. I'm sure you'll like it. But until next time, thanks for watching. Drop a like, subscribe, and goodbye.